Athens, Ohio is home to many unique events and destinations. One of them is Ohio Brew Week. This was the first and still is the longest brew festival that takes place in the U.S., and it takes place in our small yet lively Appalachian town. The government channel sat down with some of the many people that have helped make Ohio Brew Week become such a success over the past 13 years. TGC correspondent Zach Shrivers spoke with the executive director of the Athens County Visitors Bureau, Paige Alost, to learn about the origins of Brew Week, its significance to breweries all over Ohio, and what it provides for tourists who come from all over the nation.
Paige Alost has been with the Visitors Bureau since Ohio Brew Week began, and even worked with John Sparhawk and Dan Gates, two of its founders.
We love crazy ideas here. As we always say about the Mansfield House, this is the place for crazy ideas to come and either find their place or for us to really have a great laugh and kind of move on. And Brew Week was one of those crazy ideas that we said it will work because of the people who were putting it together. And John Sparhawk, the owner of the Oak Room and such a well-known person in town, I knew that with him behind it and his passion and his tenacity, that he wasn't going to let it go. And so what came about from that first year was really the first week-long craft brew celebration in the U.S.
As executive director of the Athens County Visitors Bureau, Alost has firsthand knowledge of how Ohio Brew Week has grown to not only be a cultural centerpiece, but also an economic boom for local business during the summer. Alost walked us through just how much money could be brought into our area.
On average in the state of Ohio, an overnight visitor spends about $350 per person per night. A day visitor will spend about $111 per person per day. So you can really see why we go after the overnight stays. And the great thing about an event like Ohio Brew Week is that a lot of the things happen in the evening, and because it is beer related, most people will not come and drink and sample and then get on the road and drive back home. We don't want them to do that. This is an event that really is based on the sampling part of it, but we want people to feel comfortable enough to be able to stay overnight. So it's huge for us this time of year in garnering those overnight stays. And at $350 per person per night, you can see how quickly that adds up.
Alost has been keeping a watchful eye on Brew Week over the last 13 years, and she says that the newest executive director has been working hard to maintain it and grow it. TGC correspondent Caitlin Coolidge spoke with the executive director, Brandon Thompson, about his experiences.
Thompson has been the executive director of Ohio Brew Week since 2015. With a passion for music, event planning, and of course Athens, Thompson, with the rest of the executive board of Ohio Brew Week, were able to attract more people than ever before this year for this annual event by focusing on live entertainment.
Myself as a DJ, I think music is a very important part to the experience. A lot of people are coming for the beers and for Athens, but I want people to stay on the street longer. And so what I found is, spend a little bit more money on the music. So you show up to an event and you're gonna have fun and you're gonna listen to music. But if music's bad, you might only have one beer and leave. But if the music's okay or great, you might stay all night and spend more money. And so that's what we found. Since I've taken over, we doubled our budget for last call and for BBQ, and you can tell from the music, it's awesome.
BBQ is one of the many events during Brew Week where people can enjoy some live music, Ohio beer, and some barbecue favorites. It's the lead up to Brew Week's biggest event, Last Call, where breweries from all around Ohio pitch tents along Court Street in Athens, while live music and local food is provided all day. Thompson hopes to continue the growth of Last Call every year.
My goal, I think, is to create a dance music festival. That would be something. So, one thing I know about everybody is everyone likes some sort of dance music. And when I say dance music, I'm not talking about techno or house music. I'm talking if it's the cha-cha or Latin music or two-step or country line dancing or whatever. But everybody likes some sort of music. So why not have something like Brew Week, but have different music that okay, we're going to have contra dance over here, and then we're going to have Latin here, and then just celebrate all this stuff because we have so many cultures and stuff in this little tiny town in Athens, Ohio.
Thompson also hopes to have a winter brew fest to continue the celebration and spirit of Brew Week throughout the entire year. This would also continue to help local businesses and breweries who greatly benefit from the influx of customers. Ben Schwartz visited one of these breweries in Athens that participates in Brew Week to find out what they contribute to this week-long festival.
While Brendan Thompson may be one of the most essential people to get Brew Week up and running every year, the event would be nothing without our local breweries. Devil's Kettle is a fairly new operation on Columbus Road, and in just their 4th year have already made a name for themselves in the Athens area. Cameron Fuller, owner of Devil's Kettle Brewery, says this year is the first time he's been able to give Brew Week his full attention.
Yeah, this is definitely the most. Year one, I mean, we'd only been open for a month, so we were just trying to figure things out enough so that we could be comfortable having hordes of people come into town. Year two, I did I did more promotions, but then last year, I just didn't have the time to do too much. But God, I didn't suffer because of it. It's the crazy thing about being the brewery, that people just want to go to the local producers.
Fuller goes on to talk about local Athens breweries and their importance in attracting a crowd for Brew Week.
The hometown breweries do have the advantage in that we're the hosts. We have, we have our full tap room lineups here. So, whereas I don't think any other brewery has more than maybe 5 beers, us local breweries have 20 plus.
Devil's Kettle Brewery hosts a charity event every month called Pints with a Purpose, and this month, Arts West was chosen to receive the money. TGC spoke with Arts West program specialist Emily Beveridge about the donation day.
So Pints with a Purpose is a monthly charity event that Devil's Kettle Brewery does, and $1 from each pint sold during the day goes to a different local charity. And this month happens to be for Arts West, and we're really excited about being chosen for this particular month, which is July, because it's during Brew Week. And so to me, this is definitely the best Pints with a Purpose to be affiliated with, and so we're really excited about that.
And speaking of Arts West, the homebrew competition took place the same day as Pints with a Purpose, allowing Athens residents to compete for the best homemade beer. Another local brewery in Athens that partakes in Brew Week is Little Fish. Caitlin takes us to Little Fish, where one of the head brewmasters, Jimmy Stockwell, tells us what goes down there during Brew Week.
Only 3 years old, but Little Fish has made a big name for itself in Athens and beyond. Brewmaster Jimmy Stockwell says that Little Fish provides a lot of events throughout Brew Week, and that it has a different atmosphere than any other bar or brewery in Athens.
One thing that makes us different is the outdoor space. We have this large beer garden with a picnic pavilion. The inside area is a little bit smaller than the other breweries. The whole facility, the original facility, is 2,500 square feet, and that's between the brewing side and then the tap room, and it's all kind of in one giant room right now, so that you can really feel connected to the brewing process. All of that kind of gives us our unique place.
Stockwell says they opened business right before the start of Brew Week in 2015. He said because of Brew Week that year, and now every single year following, Little Fish has been able to get their name out to more and more people. Little Fish and Devil's Kettle aren't the only breweries in town. Zach interviewed the brewmaster of Athens' largest brewery.
Jackios has made a name for themselves not only in Athens, but across the world as well. They've shipped beer all over the U.S. and even to a small extent in Asia, Australia, and Europe, though most of their beer remains in Ohio. Jackios Brewery has been a major sponsor of Ohio Brew Week over the years, as well as a highlight attraction for many. Jackios Brewmaster Brad Clark spoke with TGC about how Jackios grew up alongside Ohio Brew Week.
We've been with Brew Week since the beginning of it. Some of our first batches of beer were showcased the first year of Brew Week in 2006. So a lot has kind of, as Brew Week has changed, Jackios has changed and grown as well.
The popularity of microbrew beers has allowed 2 other microbreweries to open up in Athens and still give Jackios room to grow from 6 employees to 120 in the past 13 years. But the brewing business isn't all that has expanded. Clark says that participation in Brew Week has also grown.
I don't think there's a single bar or restaurant that really doesn't participate now. And I think also the level of participation that is happening at all the locations is more focused, and you know, this is a viable week for all these businesses. That's why it was created.
With the expanding brewing industry, it's easy to think that there might be some rivalry among brewers, especially during Brew Week with all the extra competition in town. However, Clark says that that's not really the case.
It's a great industry, and it's filled with a ton of people that have all different types of skill sets and all different ranges of experience within the beverage industry alone, not even just with beer. So a lot of us all kind of work together, you know, and that was always the case. What is happening now within the craft beer world is that there's a oversaturation. So the competition has increased. The competition is real, and people are feeling it in sales and getting shelf placements in retail stores or tap handles in bars. But for us, this is a great week. So, and we see an increase of sales because we get so much traffic through our tap room and or our restaurant and brew pub.
Ohio Brew Week has been growing year by year and has proven to be a success time and time again. TGC spent all 9 days of Ohio Brew Week covering as many events as possible. So let's head back to the desk and get a wrap up on Ohio Brew Week 2018.
One of the first events that we covered last week was watching a Columbus band called Coal Fired Bicycle, who performed at Little Fish Brewery. The event lasted from 8 to 10 p.m. and was crowded with people enjoying the live music and fresh beer. One of the week's most renowned events was the Sparbach keg tapping at Jackie O's Brew Pub on Monday night. Sparbach is a special beer brewed by Jackie O's in honor of and named after the late Ohio Brew Week founder, John Spar. The keg tapping ceremony featured a speech from Brew Week director Brandon Thompson and Mayor Steve Patterson.
Raise it up high. Cheers.
Last Call is the grand finale of Ohio Brew Week, and we were there for all of it. With 45 different brewing companies represented, live music, food trucks, and thousands of people, Last Call 2018 was a big success. Bands like 5 Foot Forward, Bulls on Parade, and Any Color performed on the main stage. Mayor Patterson gave a short speech after spending the afternoon volunteering at the Great Lakes Brewery truck, and Central Avenue Methodist Church held their annual Root Brew for a more family-friendly alternative event. There was plenty to do at Last Call 2018. If you have any suggestions for next year's Ohio Brew Week, you can contact Brandon Thompson at the email shown on the screen. Next year's Brew Week will be July 12th through the 20th, and we'll see you there.